generally focused on ethics of BCBAs and their responsibilities. So more the individual aspect of it that applies to professionals, as opposed to the organizational aspect of it. And in this particular case, Medicaid fraud, as we get into it, as you can see, is really that's systemic and is happening at the decisions that are being made by the owners of the agency, whether they be BCBAs or not BCBAs. So again, this is a slight departure. And finally, participants will understand the consequences failing to report egregious ethics violations and its impact on professionals, the field of behavior analysis, and most importantly, the clients, the BCBAs. And we hear it from BCBAs a lot that they really enjoy and take a lot away from the ethics series. And you guys all know, if you're a behavior analyst or an RBT, who Dr. Bailey is, but I'll let him tell you a little bit about his background.
Good morning, everybody. I'm glad to be here again and to discuss this really important and timely topic today. I've been involved in ethics very specifically since the beginning of the certification board. I was an original member of the board.
So I think a lot of us, people out there, think that Medicaid fraud or healthcare fraud is a victimless crime. So is that really, what are the consequences? So according to the National Conference of State Legislatures, fraud, abuse, and waste in Medicaid cost states billions of dollars every year, diverting funds that could otherwise be used for legitimate healthcare services.
You've got basically two issues from my perspective. One is individual accountability. So an individual behavior analyst knows whether or not they are working X number of hours per day, and they submit their billing. And if they come under the code of ethics, they would not fudge that number in any way. If they were supposed to work with a client 20 hours a week and only work 10, they would only bill for 10. At the individual level, our idea from the ethics side is that the ethics would contain the person to the facts of the amount of services that they delivered. But there's a systems side of this as well. So if a person, for example, did 10 hours but billed for 20, you have to go downstream from there to see where did that not get caught. So there's got to be an organizational behavior management system in place to monitor the billing practices of behavior analysts. So
behavior analysis. My question here, 5.0, behavior analysts to supervisors. Generally, supervision does not cover ethics as a separate topic, but my question to you, would including ethics as an official part of the supervision session help? And this is a question for Dr. Bailey, and we're going to have to move on. So Dr. Bailey, what do you think?
Well, the short answer is yes. But the longer answer has to do with a complexity of the relationships in supervision. I get lots of email questions to the hotline from supervisees talking about their supervisor who's engaging in unethical conduct, and that's a disproportionate power relationship where the supervisee would be reporting their boss, and they're worried that if they do, then they'll be left without a supervisor, then they're not going to get their hours, then they're never going to be able to be board certified. They're also worried that even if they mention this to their supervisor, that the supervisor might do them some harm professionally, and they're worried about being blackballed in the field if they reported their supervisor. I mean, it's a real mess in terms of that power imbalance between the supervisee and the supervisor.
How do you create a culture of ethics and a culture of responsibility so that the agency actually is self-policing? And a couple tools, but just knowing that there is a system in place that you could actually report Medicaid